When I heard that you got a new house, I was curious to see what it looked like. I was imagining a grand mansion or at least a spacious bungalow. But when I saw it, I almost burst out laughing. It's so tiny that it probably broke the record for the smallest house in your town.
I don't think it's that bad. In fact, we love it. My husband and I think it's a cozy and comfortable house just as it is. It's small, but it's ours, and we've put a lot of love into making it our home.
Ah, speaking of your husband, there's something I wanted to ask you, Madison. You don't have any kids, do you? I mean, I haven't heard any news about a little one running around.
Not yet, but we're trying. We're hopeful and excited about the prospect of starting a family soon.
Then don't you think you're wasting your money on buying a house? You don't need all that extra space. It's just sitting there empty like a bird's nest waiting for eggs that aren't there yet.
Well, I'm hoping that someday soon we'll be able to have a child. I want to be prepared for when that happens. We bought this house with the future in mind.
You're dreaming, Madison. You're already 35, aren't you? You should just give up and accept your fate. Time isn't exactly on your side.
Age is just a number, Kiara. People still have children when they are over 40. If I really want a kid, there's still hope. We're not giving up on our dream of having a family.
But why did you bother to get a house anyway? I bet my brother pressured you into it until you couldn't say no to him anymore. He always had this dream of owning his own place.
No, that's not true. We actually discussed it together and agreed on it. He would never make such a big decision without my consent. It was a joint decision made with love and understanding.
Just so you know, people who buy a house in this market are basically throwing money away. Prices are inflated and the return on investment isn't great.
I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say.
Not only do you have to take out a loan, but you also have to pay property taxes and all sorts of other fees. In my opinion, it's a waste of time and money. It's actually quite amusing.
Moving into a home is certainly not for everyone, that's for sure.
Living in an apartment is so easy. My husband and I can just relax in our place. And if we ever wanted to move, it's as simple as finding a new place and moving a few things.
Everyone has the freedom to live how they want. It doesn't matter what you choose, as long as it works for you.
That's where you're wrong, Madison. There's only a right choice and a wrong choice. And I'm pretty sure you've made the wrong choice. Don't you regret buying a house instead of renting an apartment?
Not at all. I'm actually looking forward to living in our house. I've always wanted to have a backyard with a garden, so I'm planning to try out gardening.
Sounds pretty boring if you ask me.
What's so boring about it?
It's surprising. You seem like such a meek person, yet you don't seem to be listening to what I'm saying. You're more stubborn about this than I thought you'd be.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
I've told you how great living in an apartment is, didn't I? I clearly showed how it's clearly better than a house. Yet you keep on going on about how it's not so bad. Just admit you're wrong about this.
But don't you think there's more than one way to live? Isn't it just fine to live in the way that works for you?
Not when living in an apartment exists is clearly superior. It's not just my opinion. Everyone else is thinking the same thing.
If living in a house is the wrong decision, then I guess I'm fine with being wrong.
You're just fine living like that? I think that's a dangerous way to live.
It's not as bad as you think. I don't know why you're so fixated on this.
But what about the loans? Isn't that going to be annoying? You're going to be stuck with paying it for many years to come.
It's true that we had to get a loan for our house, but it's just part of buying a house.
I'm sure if you asked for it, you could get a gift or something from my mom if you asked. She's always the type to celebrate anything new that's going on.
We don't need anything like that. We're just glad she's thinking about us.
Have you thought about getting a doormat to place outside your door? It could say, "Donations welcomed." You'll need every penny you need with how large your loan probably is.
We already have all the house decorations we need, but thank you for the suggestion.
Then maybe you could set a few traps in your backyard. You might be able to save a few bucks by catching some birds that happen to stop by.
We're doing well enough right now, so you don't have to worry about us. I've got some things to do, so I've got to go. Thanks for the lovely conversation.
You don't have to try to trick me. I know. You just don't like being wrong. My brother really has a way of choosing women. You think he'd be a bit more careful with who he marries.
I've got a contract over to do some work, so I'll see you later.
What a perfect opportunity. You should tell him to make the house not look like a wreck. Madison, I can't believe I let this slip my mind. I was at the store earlier and completely forgot to pick up some corn. It was on my list and everything.
Corn? That's random. Is there a special occasion or something?
Well, I woke up this morning, saw the beautiful weather and thought, what a perfect day for a barbecue. So if you're heading out to do some shopping, could you possibly pick up some for me?
A barbecue? That sounds like a lot of fun. Where are you planning on hosting it?
Now this is where it gets interesting. I'm actually hosting it right now. And the location? Your place.
Wait, what? You're having a barbecue at my house? And you didn't think to ask me first?
Well, there's a slight issue.
An issue? What kind of issue?
In all the excitement of setting things up, I may have accidentally started a small fire. Your lovely home got a bit singed. My bad.
Are you kidding me right now? You set my house on fire?
Oh, don't worry, it was just a minor accident. A little smoke, a little ash, nothing to get worked up about.
I can't believe what I'm hearing. How did you even get into my house?
Oh, we just walked right through the gate. It wasn't that hard. It's funny how easy it is to break into houses if you're determined enough.
You broke into my house with your husband?
Yes, we're here right now. You know, one of the downsides of owning a house is always having to worry about potential fires. That's why I love living in an apartment. No such worries.
I want you to leave. Now!
Oh, but what about the barbecue? Don't you want to join in on the fun? I've been planning this for quite some time. It'd be great if we could celebrate your new home with a little party, don't you think?
I'm not playing games here. I demand that both of you leave immediately. Jorge and I put in a lot of effort to find our home, and we've worked tirelessly to make everything fall into place. It's absolutely shocking that you would just waltz in and cause such damage to our home.
I already told you it wasn't that serious.
It doesn't matter how severe it was. This is completely unacceptable.
Are you seriously angry with me right now?
Yes, I am furious. Why on earth would you do something like this? Anyone would be upset if someone just barged into their backyard and caused damage to their newly acquired home.
It was an accident. I don't understand why you're making such a big deal out of this. It's actually quite funny.
This is no laughing matter.
It's just a minor burn. It's not like your house is beyond repair or something.
The extent of the damage is irrelevant. What you did was wrong.
Your house is just a tiny, insignificant place. There's no need to get so worked up over such a small blemish.
Why are you behaving this way? Why are you mocking me in my own home? A place that belongs to Jorge and me. You have no right to say or do the things you're doing.
Oh, please, I bet you're just jealous because your life isn't as glamorous as mine.
Jorge will definitely hear about this. If I were you, I wouldn't be so arrogant.
What should I be scared of? You think Jorge intimidates me? He's just a small fish in a big pond. I have nothing to worry about.
Just gather your belongings and leave my property immediately. And don't even think about coming back.
But I don't want to leave yet. I haven't even started the barbecue.
You're really not going to give me a break, are you?
It would be such a pity if the barbecue had to end prematurely.
This is my house, Kiara. If you continue to linger here, you're going to disturb the neighbors.
So what? Is that my problem? It's not my house, so why should I care if they're upset? They're not my responsibility.
If you refuse to leave, I'll have no choice but to call the police and have them escort you off the premises.
You're going to make me leave. Don't you think that's a bit extreme?
Not from where I'm standing.
But my friends are supposed to come over in about 30 minutes. And I told them we'd be hanging out for a while, so why can't we just enjoy ourselves?
That's enough! Get out of my backyard now!
Always so dramatic, aren't you?
I can't believe your audacity. You've never once stopped by to greet Jorge or me. And then, out of nowhere, you show up uninvited and announce that you're hosting a barbecue in our backyard. Can't you see how absurd that is?
You're always finding reasons to be upset with me.
The police are on their way. So if you don't leave now, they'll force you to leave.
They'll hear our side of the story too. You won't always get your way.
Jorge is also on his way there. So if you want to avoid any trouble, it would be best if you left now.
I'll just give him a steak and beer. He won't do a thing.
Have you finally decided to leave? I've been waiting for you to pack up and go.
No, we're still here. We're considering starting on the hot dogs. We thought it'd be a nice way to end the day.
I just arrived home, but I don't see either of you anywhere. I've been looking around, but there's no sign of you.
You're just pretending. I know you can see the smoke billowing from your backyard. It's quite amusing, actually, how you're trying to play it off.
I'm well aware of what my house looks like. And from what I can see, there's no smoke. I've checked every corner, and there's nothing out of the ordinary.
Did you forget where you live? You really are something else, aren't you? It's hilarious how you're trying to deny the obvious.
Just to make sure, when you said you accidentally burnt our house, could you specify exactly where that happened? I need to know so that I can assess the damage.
It was the balcony. It's a shame, really. It was in perfect condition before the accident, but it's the ideal spot for a barbecue, so you can't blame me for what transpired. It was an unfortunate accident.
Oh my goodness. I think I understand now. The pieces are starting to fall into place.
What do you mean? What do you understand? You seem to have some sort of realization.
When you mentioned that you burnt the house, I assumed you were referring to the structural framework. That's why I was so confused earlier.
I don't understand what you're implying.
You're not at our house right now, Kiara. You're at a different location.
Wait, what?
Our house isn't even finished yet. We're still in the process of constructing it.
But then where am I right now? Whose place is this?
That's exactly what I wanted to ask. Where did you end up going?
You're just trying to trick me. You want me to believe that I made a mistake. I'm not that gullible. You can't manipulate me into leaving that easily.
But it's the truth. Jorge and I don't even have plans to build a balcony in our house. How could you damage something that doesn't exist? Moreover, we haven't even erected any of the walls yet. When you were talking about the damages, I was genuinely confused about what you were referring to. But now it all makes sense.
No way. But my mom gave me the exact address. How do you explain that?
You must have gotten it mixed up then. Since I don't see you here, there's no way you could be at the correct address.
My mom must have given me the wrong address then. There's no way I would make such a mistake.
Did you even take a moment to look around and confirm that it was indeed our place?
It seemed like a place where Jorge and you would live, and the address should have been correct.
You really messed up this time, didn't you?
I'm just gonna leave. I refuse to take responsibility for this.
You can't just cause damage to someone's property and then just walk away like nothing happened.
I'm not in the mood to be scolded for something that isn't my fault.
You are the one who selfishly trespassed on someone else's property without their permission. You can't just leave without making amends for your actions.
If it wasn't my fault, then I don't have to pay for anything.
That's not how this works. You're an adult, Kiara. At 38 years old, one would expect you to be more responsible.
They can't pin anything on me if they don't know it was me. I'll just leave and everything will be fine.
I've already informed the police about your location. The smoke is a clear indication of your presence.
You're turning your own sister-in-law in? Over a minor accident like this?
I don't care if you're my sister-in-law or not. I'm not going to let you escape the consequences of your actions.
You've become such a jerk ever since you got a house. I can't believe you.
What does my house have to do with any of this?
It has everything to do with this. Ever since you got a house, it's been bothering me. I started to wonder why you got to live in a house while I'm stuck where I am.
You really couldn't keep your feelings bottled up, could you?
If you and Jorge had just known your place and decided to continue living in an apartment, none of this would have happened.
So you were jealous of us? You wanted a house of your own.
I never said anything like that. I've already told you plenty about how I feel.
You're not very good at lying, Kiara. It's clear that us getting a house really upset you.
I never wanted a house. I've been content with where I've been living for years.
Then why don't you explain a few things? Why would you hold a barbecue if you despise houses so much? You really just wanted to have a house as much as we do, didn't you?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Your mom has already told me everything, Kiara. She mentioned how you'd go to open houses on the weekends to look at different places where you could live.
So she told you about that?
Even though you were so interested in getting a house, you weren't able to get one before us. That must have really frustrated you, didn't it?
Shut up! It's only a matter of time until I have a house just like yours.
Hate to break it to you, but with your spending habits, your dream of owning a house isn't going anywhere.
What?
Jorge talks to your husband quite often. He's heard all about your habits, like how you overspend on groceries and always eat out instead of cooking at home. Not to mention your penchant for buying the latest fashion trends. It's taking quite a toll on your budget, isn't it?
Oh my god. Hayden told you about all this?
You already know how difficult it is to buy a house. If you truly wanted one, I would have thought that you'd be way more careful with your spending habits.
But Hayden isn't the only one with a job. I'm working too.
You mean attempting to work. You seem to have trouble holding down a job, don't you?
Hayden told you about that too?
Every time you get a new part-time job, it seems like you get fired after just a few days.
It's not my fault. They just can't appreciate my skills. They expect me to follow all the rules when I know better ways of doing things. I don't want to work for someone who can't see my potential.
Maybe instead of blaming everyone else, try changing yourself.
I'll just find somewhere that understands what I can do.
That reminds me. Did you just leave your husband to clean up after your mess? Hayden just called Jorge. He said that after causing all this trouble, you ran off alone.
He's taking care of the evidence while I make my escape. Hayden would try to stop me if he knew what was really going on. I couldn't let him do that.
How could you just abandon him when he's done nothing wrong?
It's a man's duty to protect his wife. That's his job. He's never been of much help to me anyway, so it's about time he steps up. If he ends up taking the fall for this, all the better.
You're unbelievable.
Wait, if he gets caught, then what if he loses his job?
You really only care about yourself.
I'm gonna need you to lend me some money.
And why would I do that?
I'll need to lay low for a while. I'm sure with enough time the police will forget all about this.
That's not how the law works.
I'll just need a few thousand for now.
Sorry, Jorge and I have our hands full with our new house.
You can't spare anything?
It took us a long time to save enough for our house. You aren't getting a single cent.
You wasted all your money on some piece of land?
Building your own house isn't easy. It takes time and money.
I thought you were going to live in a small house.
It's actually quite large, especially the backyard.
But why go through all that effort?
I wanted a place where I could garden and have room for kids to play.
You don't even have kids, and yet you say things like that.
It won't be long before Jorge and I start a family.
I can't believe this. Why do you get all of this?
Excuse me?
Why do you get all of this before me? I'm older than you, and you get to have so much.
I don't recall anything stopping you from doing what I'm doing.
You don't understand my point of view. Ever since you've been with Jorge, my family has always favored you. Because of you, I lost my place in the family.
You're mistaken, Kiara. Before you start complaining about how much you've suffered, why don't you take a look at yourself first to find the problem?
That's a harsh thing to say.
You keep complaining about what Jorge and I have, when you could have it too if you put in the effort.
I don't want to hear this.
You don't have any grounds to get upset at us. You're going to apologize to whoever's house you damaged and pay for what you did.
But I don't want to. Like I said, I didn't do anything wrong.
You can't blame everything on others, Kiara. Don't contact me anymore. I'm done talking with you.
I'll find your place next time. You'll get what's coming to you.
Not if the police have anything to say about that.
Whatever. Just try and stop me.
Hayden gave us the license plate number of Kiara's car. Thanks to him, the police were able to track her down and arrest her. She didn't go quietly, though. She kept yelling how it was all her husband's fault and she had no part in it. But she already had plenty of evidence against her. The police found the crowbar she used to break into our house, the matches she used to start the fire, and the corn she forgot to buy for the barbecue. And the silver bullet was the messages she sent me, where she confessed to everything. It was clear that it was no accident what she did. She did it on purpose. out of jealousy and spite. She's going to have it rough with having to pay for the damages. From what I've heard, the damages amounted to about $8,000. That's a lot of money for someone who lives in a tiny apartment. She'll have to work hard to pay it off or face more legal consequences. Hayden wouldn't forgive Kiara for what she did, and who can blame him? He apologized to us for all the trouble she caused and promised it wouldn't happen again. After a while, our house was finished, and me and Jorge moved in. I'm looking forward to having kids with him and enjoying our new life. Our house is beautiful and spacious, and we have everything we need. We're so happy and grateful for everything we have.